I spent $18 to play and complete the Ultimate Edition of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and what I experienced gave me hope for the Ubisoft series while leaving me perplexed about where Assassin's Creed is headed. Stay tuned for this no BS, controversy-free review of Assassin's Creed Shadows. I am Grade A. I play games. This is Grade A Games. Despite my bubbling and burning ire for Ubisoft, I fall for the same delusion with every new release of Assassin's Creed. The notion that one of these flagship Ubisoft third-person action games will rekindle that feeling I had when I was absolutely hooked on the original Assassin's Creed back in 2007. Sadly, with the exception of the novelty of the series' reinvention, Assassin's Creed Origins, none of the modern AC entries has kept my attention through to completion. That is until Assassin's Creed Shadows. Was I fueled by my desire to complete the 35-hour campaign before my 1 month of Ubisoft Plus Premium expired, or was Assassin's Creed Shadows finally a game that valued my time? Let's start with the presentation. Graphically, Assassin's Creed Shadows is able to move the series a step forward by dropping support for all non-current generation consoles. The afforded lighting and shadow improvements, the more attractive and lively environments, as well as the higher population densities in cities help lend to the realism in this latest Ubisoft game. However, with most things I will say about this game, for almost every compliment, a complaint can be issued for the same thing. For instance, the character models appear far more lifelike than in previous Assassin's Creed games. Unfortunately, this mostly comes down to the lighting, and when that fails, the crack shows and you find yourself looking at something very familiarly Assassin's Creed. The animations are great, with believable lip sync, except in certain side quests and cutscenes towards the end of the game, where you can notice some of that jerky, animatronic-like Ubisoft animation we've known throughout the years. With all things graphics in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we have some genuine steps forward, but some of the telltale Ubisoft jank still remains. Regarding all things sound, Assassin's Creed Shadows is pretty damn good. The music is serviceable, nothing stood out as top tier, but nothing was offensive to my eardrums. What I felt to be the best of the audio presentation were the environmental sounds and the combat, both of which led to a feeling of greater immersion than I'd recently experienced inside of a Ubisoft game. Finally, wrapping up my thoughts on the sound in AC Shadows, the voice acting of Naoe and Yasuke were both very well done, and I didn't really take umbrage with any of the ancillary characters' performances either. It wouldn't be a Ubisoft game if I couldn't say that the presentation in Assassin's Creed Shadows wasn't without its questionable choices, such as much of Assassin's Creed Shadows' story being presented in this Kurosawa meets Tarantino doing Kurosawa style. Some might call it an homage, some might call it thievery. This style was, to be honest, kinda cool at first, but it wore out its welcome pretty soon after. By the end of the game, I felt Assassin's Creed Shadows was hands down the most impressive looking and sounding game in the series. But what about the gameplay? In Assassin's Creed Shadows, players typically have the option to choose between either the nimble female shinobi Naoe or the hulking former captive African turned samurai Yasuke. I found the two styles of combat to be enjoyable, and both were more exciting in action than the combat in Assassin's Creed Origins, Odyssey, or even Valhalla. That being said, we're talking about an iterative step forward rather than a complete combat system overhaul. What you are provided with in Assassin's Creed Shadows are a responsive dodge and parry system, an interesting stance system that allows you to let loose with either character's fight style, and the normal assortment of tools you'd get to assist in evading, sneaking, distracting, and so on. Parkour in Assassin's Creed Shadows has also moved a step forward, but fret not. If you're a fan of the "I didn't mean to jump to that" or "Why didn't you jump into the hay pile, you stupid son of a b-" parkour of the last 3 games, it's still there. There will be plenty of times you attempt to flee a battle situation only to have your character hang idiotically as, unable to climb, you're left as a human pinata. My other major complaint about the gameplay of Assassin's Creed Shadows is that, with 2 very different ways to play the game, with the differing styles of Naoe and Yasuke, I never felt like I got good with either character. Maybe that's a skill issue. Ignoring the many a social faux pas made by the tone-deaf Ubisoft development team, I found the story in Assassin's Creed Shadows to be rather enjoyable from quest to quest. I appreciated how Yasuke and Naoe's stories tied together, how their bond deepens throughout the campaign. I enjoyed the side quests for the various members of Naoe's newly founded Assassin's Guild. The problem is, I did not enjoy how these stories tied into the greater narrative. In Ubisoft's desire to fix the issues with the AC series, and pretty much all other Ubisoft series, the traditional Ubisoft checklist is absent from Assassin's Creed Shadows. See this? This is not a list, clearly. You can't make a circle a list, right? No checklist. Ubisoft wins! Unfortunately, we do not. Because of the haphazard nature of this quest lit diagram, it felt difficult to understand what questline to start next to continue the story in a natural way, leaving the story feeling very disjointed. Put it this way, it's not a great thing when the player is surprised when the credits roll, which is exactly what happened to me on my final live stream of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Perhaps the newly provided canon mode would have alleviated my issue with the Assassin's Creed Shadows story by providing a more curated path through the game's story missions. Assassin's Creed Shadows is, in most ways, a step forward for the once adored and recently maligned franchise. With the improvements of Ubisoft's Anvil engine, we see more beautiful, detailed, and believable imagery, tighter combat, and a more polished game than we've seen with any new Assassin's Creed game since Origins. Questions still remain as to the narrative direction of the series and whether or not we will ever truly get a revolutionary step forward, but for now, AC fans finally get their Assassin's Creed set in Japan, and it turned out to be worth the wait. Final verdict? While unable to reacquaint me with the same feeling of immersion, wonder, and excitement as the original Assassin's Creed did so many years ago, Assassin's Creed Shadows is a promising step forward and an enjoyable game for even middling fans of the series. With a shockingly reasonable main story runtime and a very affordable $18 entry fee for PC owners, I recommend giving this one a shot. For console owners, perhaps hold tight for a decent discount. 7.75. I am Grade A. I play games. This is